Late evening settled over the Anderson estate, its glass walls glowing like a cage of light above the dark hills. Inside, billionaire James Anderson stood in his spotless kitchen, drink in hand, basking in the echo of his own success. He had just donated $5 million to a children's hospital, while, downstairs, his maid Mary Carter was quietly weeping over a dental bill she couldn't pay. Her 10-year-old daughter, Emily, sat at the staff table, small but unflinching, watching the man her mother served. When James noticed her, he smirked. "You look bored, kid. How about a game? 3 wishes. Anything you want." Emily's eyes didn't blink. "Anything. Anything," he said, amused by his own generosity. Then she spoke, softly, but sharp enough to cut through the marble air. "Then I wish you'd help someone for real. Without money. Without cameras. Just you." The smile died on his face. For the first time in years, the richest man in the room had nothing to say. If that moment hit you too, subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories, where power meets truth, and kindness always wins. The sound of the refrigerator hummed through the vast, silent kitchen. The marble counters reflected the amber light from the chandelier above. James Anderson leaned against the steel island, sipping his sparkling water as if the world beneath him existed only to serve his mood. Across the room, Mary Carter stood stiff, hands trembling around a damp cloth. She had worked here for 6 years and still never looked him in the eyes when he spoke. "Your daughter's got spirit," James said, glancing at the small blonde figure standing by the staff table. His voice was half amusement, half warning. "Most children wouldn't talk to me like that." Emily didn't move. "Most children don't have to," she said quietly. Mary dropped the cloth. "Emily." But James only laughed, a hollow, sharp sound that echoed through the cold air. "3 wishes, remember. You've made 1 already. You want me to help someone, for real." He raised an eyebrow. "I suppose that means I'm expected to play a charity worker tomorrow. Scrub floors. Hand out soup." Emily looked up. Her eyes didn't hold fear. "You said anything," she replied. The billionaire studied her. The silence stretched long enough for Mary to start trembling again. Then James turned away, setting his glass down. "Fine. Tomorrow. 6 a.m. Let's see where your wish takes us." He left the room without another word. The sound of his expensive shoes faded up the marble staircase until the mansion fell still again. The next morning, before dawn, the air hung heavy and wet. The mansion's grand hall smelled faintly of polish and money. James stood at the base of the staircase, dressed in jeans and a black polo shirt that looked out of place on him. His reflection in the mirror was almost unrecognizable, stripped of armor, stripped of identity. Emily appeared quietly by the front doors, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Mary followed, pale with worry. "Please, sir," Mary said softly, "don't be angry with her. She's just—" "I gave my word," James interrupted, his voice flat. "And when I give my word, I keep it." Outside, the black Range Rover gleamed in the fog. The gates opened with a mechanical sigh. Emily climbed into the passenger seat. James started the engine and drove without speaking. They passed through streets that changed with every mile, from manicured estates to cracked sidewalks and flickering streetlights. Emily pointed. "Turn here." James frowned. "Where are we going?" "You said you'd help someone." "We help here." He looked up at the old brick building with a rusted sign that read St. Jude's Community Kitchen. The windows were barred. The paint peeled. The smell of fried oil and rain clung to the air. "You're joking," James said. "You brought me to a soup kitchen." Emily nodded. "They're always short on help." He let out a slow, incredulous breath. "I could fund this place for a decade." That's not the same, Emily said softly. You'd just be buying silence again. For a long second, James said nothing. Then he slammed the car door, the sound breaking through the quiet street. Inside, the light was dim and yellow. The kitchen smelled of bleach and potatoes. A woman with tired eyes looked up from a pile of dishes. Emily Carter. Lord, honey, you're up early. Hi, Miss Brenda, Emily said. This is Mr. James. He's here to help. James froze at the casual introduction. Mr. James. Not Sir Anderson. Not the billionaire. Just James. Brenda sized him up. Well, Mr. James, grab an apron. We got potatoes that need peeling. He looked down at the stained cloth apron she handed him. It smelled like onions and detergent. Slowly, he slipped it over his head. You ever peeled a potato? Brenda asked. I run a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, he replied dryly. Then this'll be new for you, she said, handing him a peeler. The first scrape was awkward. The metal slipped, cutting his thumb. A small bead of blood formed. Not bad, Brenda said. They bleed faster than they learn. Emily covered a laugh with her hand. James glared, but something inside him, something old and brittle, began to crack. He peeled in silence, the sound of metal against vegetable steady and clumsy. An hour passed. Then two. His back ached. His thumb throbbed. Sweat beaded on his forehead. When the breakfast rush began, Brenda called, All right, new guy. On the line. James joined the others, standing behind a steaming tray of hash and eggs. People filed in, men with hollow eyes, women clutching children, faces lined with quiet defeat. One scoop each, Brenda said. Make it stretch. James nodded, but his hands shook. He wasn't used to seeing hunger up close. A woman with a baby strapped to her chest stepped forward. Please, she whispered. Can I have a little more? He can't eat yet, but when I eat, he eats. James hesitated. He glanced at Brenda, who was busy pouring coffee. Then he dipped the ladle again, adding a second, smaller scoop. Thank you, the woman said, her eyes shining. God bless you. For the first time in years, James didn't know what to say. The day dragged on. The line grew longer. By noon, his shoulders screamed. His hands were red and raw. Yet he didn't stop. Near the end of the shift, a commotion erupted. A man slammed his fist on the counter, shouting. I've been waiting an hour. You think this slop is food? Brenda stepped back. I'm sorry, Bill. The coffee's gone. Bill's voice rose. You people think you're better than us. Before he could strike, James stepped forward. That's enough, he said firmly. Bill turned, eyes wild. Who are you supposed to be? Someone who's done taking orders, James said. Sit down. The room went still. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Bill stared at him for a long second, then cursed under his breath and stormed out. James stood frozen. The ladle trembled in his hand. Emily's eyes met his from across the room. She didn't smile. She just nodded once, approval without words. When the service ended, James helped mop the floor. The mop handle left streaks of gray water across the tiles. His muscles burned, but for the first time, he didn't feel empty. Brenda patted his shoulder. Not bad, rich boy, she said. You've got good hands. Come back tomorrow. Outside, the rain had stopped. The clouds split open, showing thin bands of sunlight. James looked at Emily. Well, he said, exhausted. You got your wish. She shook her head. Just the first one. He frowned. "What's next?" "You'll see," she said. The next morning, James stood before the glass plaque that bore his name, the James P. Anderson Oncology Wing. The bronze letters gleamed under the hospital's fluorescent lights. He walked past them without stopping. The smell inside was sharp and sterile. The walls were painted with bright animals, but the children inside the rooms were pale and still. He passed a young mother asleep beside her child's bed, her head resting on her folded arms. He saw the 4 lines, the monitors, the quiet desperation. A doctor stopped him. "Sir, are you visiting someone?" "I helped build this place," James said softly. "I came to see it." The doctor nodded politely and moved on. James kept walking until he found a small boy sitting alone, clutching a broken handheld game console. The boy looked up. "It won't charge anymore." James sat down beside him. His fingers still ached from peeling potatoes. "Let me see." He bent the connector pin, wedged a piece of folded cardboard from a tissue box inside, and plugged the cable back in. The charging light blinked, then held steady. The boy smiled, small and bright. "You fixed it." James nodded. "It's just a temporary fix." The boy's mother appeared in the doorway, eyes red. "He hasn't smiled in 3 days," she whispered. "Thank you." James stood, unable to speak. As he left, he passed the plaque again. The letters of his name no longer shone, they mocked him. His money had bought the walls, but not the hope inside them. That night, he sat alone in his study. His reflection stared back at him from the dark window, tired, human, stripped of all the armor that used to define him. He whispered, "You were right, Emily." The next morning, before the sun rose, he walked to the gates in worn leather boots and an old flannel shirt. Emily waited by the door, her small frame silhouetted against the light. "This time," she said, "you don't get your car. No wallet. No phone. Just you." James swallowed hard. "And what exactly am I supposed to do?" "Survive," she said simply. The gates opened. The world outside didn't care who he was. He walked for hours. Cars sped past, drivers not even glancing his way. By noon, his feet blistered inside the 2 small boots. Hunger clawed at him. He saw a diner with a cardboard sign in the window, "Dishwasher wanted." He walked in. The woman behind the counter eyed him suspiciously. "I can work," he said. 2 hours for a meal." Her expression softened. "Fine." Aprons by the sink. The kitchen was chaos, clanging pans, steam, the hiss of grease. He scrubbed, rinsed, stacked. His hands ached, but he kept going. By the end, the woman brought him a hot sandwich and a cup of coffee. "On the house," she said. "You earned it." James ate slowly. Every bite tasted like something he hadn't felt in years, worth. When he left, the sun was setting. His legs burned. His clothes were damp with sweat and dishwater. But he smiled, not the public kind, not the empty one. A real smile. That night, when he returned to the mansion, the security guard almost didn't recognize him. His clothes were torn, his hands raw, his eyes alive. Emily sat waiting on the grand staircase. He stopped in front of her. "I washed dishes," he said. "I was hungry. I worked. I ate." "How did it feel?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Like the first honest thing I've done in my life." She nodded. "Then you finished your 3rd wish." James looked around the massive, silent hall. The chandeliers sparkled above them, but they didn't make him proud anymore. They looked hollow, like everything he'd built before her. From that day forward, the empire of James Anderson began to crumble. But he didn't fight it. He let it fall, every deal, every false friend, every meaningless plaque. Months later, the old soup kitchen reopened under a new name, the Carter Foundation. It was smaller, simpler, and for the first time, his money made sense. James worked side by side with Brenda, with veterans, with mothers who used to come hungry and now came to help. He wasn't their savior. He was one of them. And when people asked about the girl who started it all, he would only smile and say, "She wished for the truth, and I finally found it." Months later, the city forgot the man who once owned its skyline, but the small brick building on 7th Street never stopped glowing after dark. Inside, laughter mixed with the sound of boiling soup and children's chatter. James Anderson, no longer a name on a tower, moved quietly among them, fixing a leaky pipe, lifting boxes, listening. The emptiness that once echoed in marble halls had been replaced by something steady and human. He didn't search for legacy anymore, he built moments that lasted only because they were real. Emily sometimes joined him after school, her backpack still on, her smile unchanged. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, she whispered, "See? You didn't lose everything. You found where it begins." And for the first time, James believed her. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories, because every small truth can start a change that never ends.